Hi, welcome to Iowa's virtual physical education convention, and welcome to my session, Equipment Hacks, No Tech, Low Tech, and Low Cost Innovations. I'm glad you're here. So who am I? My name is Ann Griffin. I'm an adapted physical education consultant at Grantwood Area Education Agency, which is right here, East Central Iowa. My job is to support about 250 physical educators in 7 counties, 32 school districts. And those physical educators collectively teach about 75,000 students, and about 8,500 of those students, ages 3 to 21, have individualized education plans or IEPs, and are students with disabilities. So I have lots of wonderful physical educators and challenging kids that I work with. I've been on the brain injury resource team and the autism team, which have caused me to be exposed to lots of very interesting brains and lots of education about brains and learning. And so I bring lots of experience to my particular job. And many of you know me as the lady that carries around a whole bunch of weird stuff. And as one of my students, Brady used to greet me every Friday when I would show up for adapted physical education in his classroom. And he would be standing at the door and he would say, "Hey, Miss Ann, what's in the bag?" So you'll see my suitcase that I typically travel with internationally and nationally, as well as bags of things that I bring to our local gyms as well. So today's topic is equipment, which is one of my favorite areas of physical education and adapting physical education, because I do love toys, but it's not just about toys. In our business, equipment actually are power tools. They are very, very important and easy ways for us to meet a lot of challenges for individual students with just taking a look at equipment. So it's a very powerful tool that physical educators have at their disposal, and it's one of my favorite areas. Also, even though toys and innovating and creating weird stuff is really, really fun for me, I'd like you to remember that equipment and adjustments of equipment fit largely into contexts of very large educational initiatives. One being Universal Design for Learning, which is a set of principles and a framework used all over the world to help make all learning more inclusive. It's also grounded, these changes to equipment are also grounded in appropriate instructional practices in physical education, in particular in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of that learning environment, as well as within the framework of curriculum differentiation, which allows teachers in all content areas to adjust instruction for individual learners, either increasing or decreasing the challenge of the instruction through adjusting content or what we teach, process or our instructional strategies, how we teach, the environment, the learning environment, and in our case, the equipment and materials that we use in that learning environment to design instruction, and then assessment or product, what are the students learning? So all of those 5 areas are areas that we as teachers can adjust in any content area to increase or decrease challenge to meet individual learning needs. So within that context, we're gonna blow on into the nuts and bolts of Ann's weird stuff. So Universal Design for Learning, it's a very big concept, and it really focuses on changing the environment rather than changing the learner. And I think one of the easiest ways to convey this to physical educators is with a physical education challenge and solution. So many years ago, at the beginning of a jump rope unit that was going to be lasting 3 weeks long, a physical educator and I had a challenging student, Cody, who had cerebral palsy, and he had a heck of a time jump roping. He was not very successful. He would get very frustrated very quickly, and then his behavior and his language would just drop off and not be very good. So PE was not fun, and he wasn't really getting anything out of it because he couldn't really jump to even increase his cardiovascular endurance. And one day, for whatever reason, the light bulb went on, and we got a pair of scissors and we took a jump rope and we cut it in half, and I gave Cody the two handles in each hand, and he started to turn those handles and jump at the same time. And he yelled, "Hey, Ann, look at me, I'm doing it." And that was all we needed to know that we had just achieved a very powerful solution to Cody's problem. We had removed the barrier to learning, which for him was getting over the rope, simply by cutting that rope in half. And the other very powerful thing we learned that day is that wasn't just a solution for Cody. That was a solution for all kids who were frustrated and learning to jump, and it allowed them to practice with success the timing and the jumping and the movements of the activity, to the point where now we know that offering split ropes or full ropes to all kids is the way to go. So a very powerful solution. And once again, the experts are among us. They are right there in the gym. So as physical educators, we do need to plan with everyone in mind. And in our case, choice, whether it's activity choice or equipment, as the research tells us, is a very key way to increase student engagement. The experts are among us. At the AEA, there's a long-standing axiom that if you're 30 miles from home, you're an expert. And of course, we're all in our homes today. But honestly, the experts are among us. So thank you all for listening. And most of what I know, I have learned from you, our fellow physical educators, and from students. So you'll see on this slide, a friend of mine, Quinn, who was in this video, was a sixth grader at Harding Middle School in Cedar Rapids, and his physical education teacher, Cindy Hutchison. So a couple of experts who taught me a whole lot of things, and will also very succinctly key in for you on what's important about equipment and what changes it makes in the eyes of kids in physical education and for instructors in meeting the needs of a huge variety of kids. I would play this video for you, but I have had lots of technical difficulties with making it work. So I'm just going to let you watch it on your own, and we will carry on. So today, equipment hacks. I've got them organized in about 5 different areas for you, maybe 6. The first is lots or quantity of equipment. The second is multisensory, which is a huge piece of universal design in that we have multiple means of representation for students. Also a section on equipment hacks that help to increase practice, decrease chase for kids and teachers. Also a section on what do you have and how do you use it? What else can you do with it? So innovative uses for some of the stuff that we all have in our gyms. And also a few innovations and do-it-yourself directions on how to make some of my favorite toys. And then, of course, a couple of my favorites. So here we go. In terms of quantity and variety, having a huge quantity, like at least enough for every student in the class and maybe more than one for every student in the class. But quantity and variety leads to choice. And again, choice leads to engagement. So for example, here's just an illustration regarding hula hoops. So you can't tell, but there are hoops in a variety of dimensions, a variety of diameters, a variety of weights, colors. Some have sound, some do not, and a variety of sizes. So again, let kids pick what they want to try and let them try a variety of things. And again, having a large quantity increases choice. Also, having a variety of ways to put things into play is another really good thing. And this is snap bowling, one of my favorite activities that you can do. Either you'll see the right one, that's a deck tennis ring and some bungee cord and then colorful bowling pins. And the bungee cord is just duct taped onto the gym floor, or a table model of this has bowling pins and with bells on them, so they make some noise, and cans that when they fall off and hit the floor make some noise. They're also highly visually attractive in that they're black and white and colorful. So the idea with snap bowling is with just a little bit of action on the student's behalf, there's a lot of reaction in that a whole bunch of bowling pins get knocked over. So let's take a look at how this works. This is snap bowling. Again, you can use any recyclables that you happen to have in your house. This one's set up on the counter in our kitchen. And so, you know, it's just Velveeta boxes, water bottles, adult beverage aluminum cans, that with a little duct tape appropriately placed, you can get rid of all of that. And those make great noise when they hit the ground. The last slide you saw a little hose donut or a deck tennis ring used to pull and release. In this, you could also tie a wiffle ball, so it would be a grasp and release of a wiffle ball. I use lots and lots of bungee cord, so I buy it in bulk, and this is just 3/16 inch bungee cord. So the student, or in this case, the demonstrator, and this is my husband's hand pulling the wiffle ball back. Just let it go, and bang, it knocks stuff off, makes a lot of noise, a lot of action for just a all you have to do is let go of the ball. So again, a fun way to put things into play, a fun way to use other things. Again, other choices of ways to put things into play. Kids can use a bowling ramp not only for bowling, but they could use it for pitching in a kickball game. We have bocce ball ramps that you see in the center that's actually used by the Paralympic bocce team for bocce ball. But again, you can roll any balls down this ramp. You can use, these are pallet corners down here in the lower right hand corner. And if you flip those babies over, they look a lot like the half a PVC pipe here, and just turn into like little gutters or ball ramps that can be hooked onto kids' individual wheelchairs or walkers or gait trainers, or used anywhere in the gym. And if kids are sitting down and you have mead binders, the big 4 or 5 inch binders, just putting a ball at the top of this, all the student has to do is let go of the ball and it rolls right down and into play. So having a variety of ways to put things into play is a good thing. Again, if you think about a particular unit, so if you're doing discs or disc golf and frisbees, extend the unit play by extending the equipment that you have available and adding some things that might not necessarily be in your equipment cupboard, but using things like aerobie squidgy disc. They're very soft. Kids are lots less hesitant to attempt catching with those. They fly true, so they're very fun. Also, these are pet frisbees, but they're made of very durable nylon. They're well weighted, they fly true, and again, easy to throw, easy to catch. And then another of my axioms for equipment is giant size for success. So this is one of those giant Mylar discs that in the gym floats real nicely. And again, another way to multi-sensory, visually really interesting. They also make noise. And again, other ways to put discs into play. So kids could cooperatively, one could hold, one could pull the string and launch the disc this way. So think about extending all of that. In baseball, a whole variety of ways to put balls into play, either with the O-ball bat, where you swing the bat and the ball comes right out, to the pet bat here, you put a tennis ball in, swing the bat, and the bat gets thrown, to a zip and hit, where you hit with a lightweight bat the wiffle ball along a line. So again, lots of practice, very little chase, or a variety of ways to set up for either volleyball serving, baseball, using a funnel in cardboard tubes for, well, all of these can be used for baseball as batting tees. You can use funnels in cones or in tubes for large balls. And as I said, turned upside down plungers in a cardboard tube will also hold a big ball, again, for batting or serving or putting a ball in play. Most physical educators have soccer balls in the right size for a whole class, but what most gyms don't have is a tub full of weird soccer balls or different soccer balls. So this would be something that I have available for physical educators to check out. So there are Gertie balls, so giant size soccer balls that are weighted with BB shots so that they make noise, soccer balls that are slow-mo weighted with sand, balls with bells in them, soft soccer balls, small soccer balls, colorful soccer balls attached to soccer pals. So I have all of these soccer balls that might not be available in every class, once again in the soccer unit to extend learning to all learners. Golf is similar. For chipping and putting, these would be extensions. So we have larger putting cups, larger golf balls, and then assistive devices that you could chip or putt golf balls into play. Make it multisensory. A big piece of universal design is to address all of the senses, both the 5 traditional senses, as well as proprioception, vestibular, and interoception. Proprioception is the input that we get in our joints about where we are in space, and vestibular sense is where we are in space, our balance sense. Interoception is the sense of what are you feeling inside of you? Are you hungry? Are you hot? Are you tired? Do you need to go to the bathroom? So it's an internal sense. But thinking about how might we incorporate more senses in every activity and piece of equipment. And from an equipment standpoint, it's very easy to do. We can add Velcro bells, we can add texture. So these are textured balls, or like the inside out ball. It changes texture. And again, that one you drop it and it stays right where it is. So make it multisensory, add some sound, add sound to things that you want kids to knock over, add sound to their own appendages, either to their hands or their feet if they're walking in a gait trainer, or they're shaking and moving and exercising. It just gives them a little more motivation and fun. This young lady has, her classroom teacher came up with quite the multisensory setup for her, just a PVC frame that gave her sound, texture, visual, and movement all at the same time, with just a little bit of interaction from her, with her favorite thing being beads. Again, this is a way to, what do you have, how else can you use it? But what we were doing here was twofold. One, we wanted to see, we were gonna stomp tennis balls, and we wanted to drop them sort of in the center of the gym. So we had some tarps which we hung over the volleyball nets, which not only helped drop the balls in the center of the net or in the center of the gym, but it also, the harder the kids stomped, the more noise it made. So again, it was a reinforcer for the pressure that we wanted to achieve with the kids. Also, adding visuals is another way in terms of multisensory approaching things. And in phys ed, we use task cards and visuals all the time, from cones and poly spots on where to be, which we now see everywhere for social distancing, to task cards in shoulder folders that are very nice, but they're kind of expensive. But you can make them real easily with just file folders, cut a hole in them, and add a visual, and you're good to go. Also, just think about a visual for jumping jacks for the feet. So kids hit, they both feet on blue, then both feet on red, both feet on blue, red, blue, red. So how easily you can add a visual to make clear what the student is needing to do. And as I said, we have visuals for lots of things. So here's a station task card for a basketball activity with visual cues on a basketball of where to hold it to shoot, with a couple of our slam dunk hoops. And then hot shot spots, where to stand to shoot, how many points you get when you're standing there. So all of those cues help students know what's going on. And how to make actually the game of tag visual. Many students with autism don't get it. They don't get the concept of tag or it. But if you give the it, that person who's going to be tagging, either a tag stick or a thunder stick or a tagging hand of some sort, then very quickly, everybody in the gym can tell who's it. And if you have somebody that needs an audio cue as well, you can put Velcro bells on this baby, and then it's multisensory too. But then when you hand off the tag stick, you change the role of what you're doing. So when you're tagging, you run after and touch people. And when you don't have the tag stick, then you're fleeing or running away. So again, a way to make tag visually discernible for kids. One of my favorite ways to multisensory anything is the use of pet toys, which is something I stumbled on quite a while ago. I used to pay a lot of money for equipment that was specially designed for kids with sensory impairments or sensory deprivations, or designed for students with significant disabilities. And then I found much of that was also available in pet stores, and there were so many benefits. It was durable, it was affordable, it was bite resistant, it was washable, it was action reaction. Most of it was multisensory by design. And as I said, it's affordable. So those grab balls that you see lower right corner, those can be as much as $20 if you buy them in a specialty catalog, but they are about $5 if you buy them for pets. So a huge key. So some of my favorite things. This is the Crazy Dog Bumble Ball. It is a ball, but it's battery operated, and when you push the button, it moves. Oh, I might have messed up. Let's see what this one is. Okay, hang on. Let's see if we can make it work. Bingo. So it moves around. It's fun to have kids hold on to it and just giggle and laugh trying to hold on to it. But again, a dog toy that you could use in another setting with a completely different purpose. Some toys, these obviously are not bite resistant, but very little pressure causes a whole lot of reaction. So it's a great thing, again, for grip sorts of strength, but it's interesting visually and tactily. And of course, my favorite, the ape. When you squeeze him, he both sticks out his tongue and puts his arms out to give you a hug. So another category, increased practice, decreased chase. So how do you suspend it or attach it so that kids don't lose track of what they're doing as soon as the ball gets out of sight? So this is just a kicking station that was set up. The brown paper bags are for 1 foot balance, step in and kick off. But the football and the soccer ball are both stuffed in the ends of hose that the student can hold this end, and then very much like a soccer pal, holding this end of the hose in their hand, they have repeated trials with the soccer ball. They can hit it left, right, 10 times right, 10 times left, or it could be suspended and they could hit it with a friend. Again, they could practice punting with a football that is stuck in there. Whoops, hang on, I'll go back. Or this is a football dog toy. Again, multisensory, has places you can put your fingers in. It's suspended on a piece of bungee cord with some bells. So again, multisensory, but a variety of things to practice kicking with. Another way to multisensory things very quickly and suspend is to just stick a soccer or stick any kind of a ball. In this case, we've got a basketball in a grocery sack that then makes it easy to tie up, but it also makes some sound. Poly spots to show students where to stand to chest pass a basketball back and forth, rather than miss the ball and get off target. Again, here's another basketball suspended where 4 kids can practice together, no misses, chest passes. Another very fun, now this is not low tech, but I purchased this and it's way fun. So increased trials. So this is an iPong. It holds 100 ping pong balls. And this little remote control down here lets you dial up the speed for how quickly the balls shoot at you. And again, I'm always looking for additional ways that kids can be engaged, if not necessarily with the objectives of ping pong or playing the game, but initially maybe just with the materials, so the equipment. And so if you're gonna be shooting off 100 ping pong balls, somebody's gonna have to pick them up. And there's this weird, cool thing called a ping pong ball picker-upper. And kids can very easily pick up ping pong balls, lots of them, in the ping pong ball picker-upper. So this is in our ping pong collection of equipment. And here you can see how it works just on a regular table or a ping pong table, but it shoots out the balls and gives lots of repeated trials. So kids can get lots of practice with that. Again, suspending balls for practice. We suspend tennis balls. And we just use the foam ones, and we like the ones with the bells the best. And here it's suspended. There's a horizontal line tied over to the balcony. And so there are balls on here that students can hit back and forth to a partner, or they could go around and hit it repeated trials. So again, repeated practice. And here it's set up another way so that you can see the ball hanging. Another way is Velcro on a beach ball, which is very light. I mean, we have Velcro spots all the time, and Velcro on the wall in different places. So place it low and you get an underhand strike. Place it high, you get an overhand strike. So again, we had things placed around the gym that elicited kids' movements that we were looking for just by adapting our equipment. This is one of our favorites, and this, I saw this used by a friend of mine, and then I happened to see one outside a gym in Monticello, and we drug it into the gym while the lunch lady wasn't looking, because it's a floor or carpet dryer. So they are in most schools. This particular picture that you're going to see here, this one, Becky Sorg found at her school at Prairie Ridge, and we drug it into the gym and check it out. So by putting it on its end, we could now float the ball. So this allows a kid to volley a ball into play for volleyball or strike it with a bat. We also we tilted it different ways. So you'll see that in another picture. Also, repeated trials. This is just a ball bag with a volley trainer in it, hung up with a carabiner to the basketball net. So very quickly we have a suspended ball with repeated trials. And you can do this to badminton, birdies, and soccer balls at foot level. And in hockey, we had lots of trouble with, again, kids hitting the ball and not each other, and staying focused. So again, we set up a wiffle ball on a line, tied it to the ball cart and the volleyball standard, and then had kids facing each other on opposite sides of the string and hit the wiffle ball back and forth in a short distance. So their stick is under the ball, so it went smoothly along and contacted the ball and hit it right to where the other kid's stick was. So it went back and forth. So we got some repeated trials with a partner, which was huge. Or we just tied the wiffle ball to the hockey stick. And again, kids have repeated trials and are paying attention to, look, it comes right back, and they can hit it again, and they can dribble. So again, success just by altering how it is you attach the equipment. Again, no fail catch with a football, a Zoom ball. This is a kind of a football shaped wiffle ball, plastic ball, on a couple of strings and pull apart. There are even other models of this that require a whole lot of fitness and coordination to do, and can be done, with 2 kids or with 4 kids. So it's a nice cooperative activity, but a no-fail way to play catch. And of course, we always have some things that, we just need to tweak, or it's like, God, how do we get to there? So these are some of our top innovations that we've come up with over time and tweaked over time with some directions. So our DIYs, how do you do it yourself to solve some problems? So this was one Friday I was looking for an activity for a group of students with behavior disabilities I was in charge of. And we only had a field. We could only be outdoors. We had about 7 kids who didn't really like to play, difficult to engage. And I was out of ideas. And I looked around in my office, and I had a 5-gallon bucket of dead tennis balls. And I did happen to have about 4 fishing dip nets also in my office, sticking out of another bucket. And they happened to be sitting next to each other. And I'm like, oh God, we could do that. So we did. We were throwing, half of them had fishing dip nets, half of them had all the tennis balls. We threw them, caught them. It was a huge success. We had tons of fun. And turned it also into a strength activity, and they in that they had a whole bunch of balls in there, and then they had to change roles. So it was a really good activity. But of course, right by the end, then all of a sudden, any equipment that you have can and will be used as a weapon, either against you or classmates. So by the end of class, my students got a little out of control and were using the handles of the fishing dip nets as weapons. And it's like, oh, geez, I could use a net that didn't have a handle. And that was the kernel of the idea of, okay, let's make a catching net. So we took replacement fishing dip nets on a piece of PVC, and very quickly we had catching nets that increased success for kids who had visual impairments and weren't used to catching things, and all of a sudden we're able to say, whoa, I've got something in there. The net can be used alone. It can by one student or two students. One could hold each side of it so that they can move in position to catch. Or a larger catching nets can be used by a group of students and be very cooperative. But it allows to move the target so that kids are successful. So also an easy way to pick stuff up. So catching nets. And then I thought, well, we could also use a cooperative way, because kids with behavior disabilities, I was always looking for things that they had to work together to do. Their biggest issue is the social emotional learning component of physical education, the cooperation, the teamwork, the getting along, and the taking turns and changing roles. So we started with fun. I thought, oh, the funnel shooters would be a good way to put the tennis balls into play, and they were. But water balloon shooters were about 20 bucks a crack, and I didn't have that many. And I really wanted to add that to our catching net. So we could very easily put kids in teams of 5. So 3 to operate the funnel shooter and 2 different kids on catching nets. And we had cooperative groups that were really reinforcing. If we had adults who needed to play or were playing, they also liked it because it's pretty much an ageless sorts of things. So, and it also allows a variety of roles. So it's very easy to make funnel shooters just with a big, huge funnel from the automotive department at Walmart, a drill or drill press to put some holes in it, some exercise tubing, and I just found plastic handles in the plumbing department somewhere in Menards, and those were used as handles on our funnel shooters. So a very quick DIY to make lots of funnel shooters to put balls into play. And again, so for years I'd had catching nets, and then not all that long ago, a catching net was sitting next to a basketball net. And I'm like, oh my God, why didn't we ever think of that? So we just put a basketball net on an 18-inch hoop, and it became the slam dunk hoop. So here to the right, you see a slam dunk wall, hula hoops shoved in between bleachers at a variety of heights so anybody could slam dunk. Our slam dunk hoop, hold it in front of a group of kids at any height, and everybody can be successful. So here you see the hoops, a variety of hoops and a slam dunk hoop put into the slam dunk wall. And here you see kids in action using the slam dunk hoop. Again, it just gives choices and options for ways to shoot. And like I said, the hoop can be held by kids, by partners, and used at just about any height to increase or decrease challenge. You can make them auditory in that I put popcorn or BBs in them so that they make some noise or not. And there's our slam dunk. So the catching net and the slam dunk hoop, and honestly just hula hoops as well. I use 3/4-inch PVC that's like used for the irrigation. Doesn't need to be the heavy duty stuff. The cheapest stuff is what you want. Invest in a good set of PVC cutters. I use if I'm using 3/4-inch PVC, I use 3/4-inch PVC connectors that you also get in that same department. For the catching net, replacement fishing dip nets. There's a hot link to order. Do you want sound, popcorn, or BBs? And a hair blower or a heat gun. If you get the ends of your hoop warm, these 3/4-inch connectors will slide right in, and you can connect that way without using PVC glue. Same construction format for the slam dunk hoop, just use basketball nets, and most of the high schools or any of the gyms, when they're replacing nets, will save them for you, and they work great as slam dunk hoops. here's the process for how to do it. And if you want to get kids involved, you know, you can even have them figure out, okay, what would the diameter of the basketball hoop is 18 inches. What would the circumference be? So again, how to do it is right there for you. Another one of our challenges was, how do we get kids to practice enough with basketball to be able to dribble a ball? And this was one day, I was at Viola Gibson with Craig Murray, and we were getting ready for adapted PE with our autism classes, and I happened to see a tether ball. So it was a way to connect that ball to a string. It was just laying on the floor, and I'm like, oh my God, I had some I had some bungee cord with me. So we connected the tether ball to the bungee cord and a doorknob, and then Craig could repeatedly bounce the ball, which was like, wow, brilliant. So that was the DIY number one. Then I found, again, in the pet department, a pet basketball that already had webbing on it. So it was, again, easy to connect bungee cord on each end to that basketball, and that worked for a while, and then those became unavailable. Then I found a real basketball and thought, oh, why don't we try the soccer pal with some bungee cord on that? And we put the basketball in there, and with the bungee cord and some friends, we had a pretty good basketball bouncer. My favorite basketball is, oh, here we go. Let's see if we can see this guy. And so this is physical education teacher has one end, and the student is getting repeated trials and smiling and having success. And this has been great. And we've even now, we have peers that move along with their kids, so kids can dribble across the floor. They can do tricks and spin around. So it's been a lot of fun. But again, we just keep messing around until we get something that really works. And this has worked. So the soccer pal, the elastic bungee, and like I said, I like the bell basketball the best because, again, it multi-sensory the basketball at the same time. Another one of my favorite areas is, what do you have and how else can you use it? And people always say, you do not suffer from functional fixedness, meaning that everything has one use. In my head, it's like, what else will this do and what else can we use it for? So here's an example. A lot of people use tunnels to crawl through, or you could put it over a wheelchair, or you could put it over a student who's standing and use it as a peekaboo vertically instead of horizontally. Or you could use a golf umbrella and attach it to a gate trainer with some slinkies and a little bit of visual attraction in some tinsel, so that in the wind, students who are sensitive to sun are shaded from the sun, but also have something to look at and see moving in the wind or by their own movement. We talked about the tarps and popping the ball right into it. Again, great. What do you have? How else can you use it? We also use tarps if you just clothespin them to the top of a volleyball net and then duct tape them to the floor. Then when you throw a tennis ball, it rolls back as a ball returns. So again, increased practice, decreased chase. What do you have? How else can you use it? Garbage bags to put a whole bunch of balloons in gives you a molecule ball in a heartbeat. Giant sizes volleyball slows it down. Also is a perfect transition from everybody has a balloon to all the balloons go in the garbage bag, transition the activity to all done. If you have lots of hoops, basketball and hula hoops, you can shoot in the basketball hoop. You can duct tape hula hoops so that they are horizontal, vertical, or in the shape of the 5 rings of the Olympics. Striking. Badminton is about the only thing that you see there that you probably recognize in gyms. Otherwise, fly swatters, paper plates duct taped onto paint stirrers, and balloons make great striking opportunities. Paper plates, again, what do you have and how might you use it to elicit a particular movement that you might want a kid to do? So paper plate sliding. By having plates on their feet, we are causing them to move the way we want them to move. So a forward skating pattern or a basketball slide, left to right, right to left. Underhand roll or bowling, again, recycle, reuse, what do you have? So if you use slow-mo balls, you might use a whole variety of trash to bowl that might have different values for different things, but you can also very quickly weight the bowling pins just by putting water in them or different amounts of water in them, and it also reduces all of the noise from pins knocking over too. Grocery sack, you saw that in the kicking station before. So this is just how, again, you use a piece of equipment to elicit a skill that you want a kid to practice. So we want to see 1 foot balance. They have to step into the bag and then step and kick the bag off their foot. So we step in, step, and kick. Again, step in, a balance activity, step, and kick the bag. And then again, flip it with the other foot, and you've got it. We saw the grocery bags you can quickly use to suspend things. You can also tie those on any ball, and then that ball will rustle when the kid holds it or kicks it. They can also be used as stuffing for beach balls that have blown out, and they can also, I'm sure many of you have used them as juggling scarves. Again, here you see it just quickly tying up a basketball at a standard height basket, making a chest pass easy there, and there are also some bells on there to multi-sensory it. I do shop according to what I'm looking to use in my gym, so a lot of the products that I like have interesting containers as well. One of my favorites was shown to me by a student, these Lay's Stacks containers. You can squeeze the blue tube and the yellow lid pops off, and that makes a really fun toy. Also, as I said, adult beverage containers, the aluminum ones, make really nice pins in that they make a whole lot of noise when you knock them over. I work at an AEA and we have a print shop, so we have lots of paper boxes. So what can you use those for? You can giant size Jenga with paper boxes. I told you about using all of these binders as ball rollers. We use furniture movers. We put folded tumbling mats on them to make mat cars, and cardboard tubes that can be from laminators or poster printers. All of those tubes make really nice baseball batting tees as well. You can also roll balls through them. Here's just a station setup for rolling a ball off of a lap ramp. Again, this was the peak outside the gym when we were looking for skate aids in our roller skating unit. And we found these outside the gym at Viola Gibson. So we used the recycling bins and the garbage bins on wheels as skate aids, and they worked very nicely to help the kids hold on one side, and then a peer or para could hold on the other side and control the speed of movement, and kids could support themselves while they were roller skating. Another way to use your juggling scarves is put them on your feet for skating on the gym floor, and these are really slick, so be careful. We were having a jumping unit, and one day we had the jogging tramp under the basketball rim, and we decided to hang up our co-op bands. So these are surgical tubing in polar fleece, and they're really stretchy, and we used it to help a student stand, so assisted standing on the jogging tramp because her walker won't fit on there, and then allowed her to bend her knees and really actually get the feel of jumping. So we just by the stuff that we happened to have that was sitting together, we went, oh, wonder if this would work, and it did. And it worked so well, our physical therapist thought it was a really good place to try for another little guy to get a feel for how you bounce on the jogging tramp with a little bit of support with the with our jumping machine and the co-op bands. And of course, when you combine our favorite jogging tramp, these are Jump Sport jogging tramps, with the basketball hoop, you also have the classic Jump Shot. Here's the floor and carpet dryer. These babies are great. These fans are so much fun. So here's the fan tilted, and you saw this ball floating. We had a number of balls that would float. The Omnikin balls float nicely on there. I haven't tried the 42-inch one, but the smaller ones, the 18 and 26 inchers float. And you can also, when the fan is tipped like this, shoot scarves off. And so shoot the scarf and then run and catch it. So again, high motivation, great engagement, lots of fun, just a little something different. Again, this was an adaptation for a shuffleboard unit where the students really couldn't care less about hitting a particular number. But when we put bowling pins out that the shuffleboard pucks could run into, that was way fun. And then we had some kids that had very little force, so we used hover pucks as the shuffleboard pucks, and those floated very nicely into the bowling pins. And again, increased success and activity for everybody involved. We'll finish up with my favorite toys. Stomp Rocket, this is one of my all-time favorite toys. I first saw this toy in Breckenridge, Colorado when my own kids were 2, and they're 26. They were 2 and 4, and now they're 26 and 28. So this has been my favorite for a very long time. They're great toys. They facilitate lots of action. You can put things into play lots of ways. You can shape it up very easily with visuals. So you have 2 stomp pads and 2 lines with poly spots in each place. Each kid stands on a spot, gets a rock it on, stomp it, go get it, get back in line. So a very easy way to get things going. This particular Stomp Rocket is the dueling Stomp Rocket, and they're really made to shoot vertically, but you can pull those hoses out and change the trajectory of the Stomp Rockets so they will work as well. And my other favorite toy, again, this was a pet toy. It was a ball stomper, and Nerf made them for tennis balls, and then Sport Time made them to launch balls that they, of course, sold with it, and now they're available commercially from Payless Sports. And they're used to sell a particular kind of ball, but all of them, the Nerf ones, the ones from Payless Sports and the old Sport Time ones, they shoot a lot more than on the balls that they sell with them. They will shoot dead tennis balls. They will shoot ball pit balls. You have to make sure they're the right size, but ball pit balls are very lightweight, so they take hardly any effort and you get a whole lot of bang for the buck. Plus they're colorful and kids really like to pick those up and interact with them. And we've also used foam footballs, just the right size that you have to squeeze a little bit and push in. And those we shoot through uprights, PVC uprights. So we have figured out lots of things to shoot with these. As I said, you can use them on tennis courts and kids can ground stroke them back or just try to shoot balls over. And again, always fun trying to catch with hands or catching nets as well. So you just push the ball in and you can either stomp on it with 1 foot or jump on it with 2 feet and really get some bang for your buck in terms of distance. So like I said, we shoot lots of things. We shoot ball pit balls, tennis balls, foam footballs, and you can put balls into play lots of ways. So again, kids can interact with this piece of equipment with lots of different skill levels. Seated, they can pick up the heel or pick up their foot and hit with the heel of their foot. They can push on it with their hands. They can drop a medicine ball on it. They can step on it or jump on it. So again, it elicits lots of activity and it's fun and it engages kids. So I'm always looking for smiling and sweating. So we've come to the end of low tech, no tech equipment hacks, but I have lots and lots of resources for you to avail yourselves of way after this presentation and conference is over. So please check out Quinn and Physical Education at Harding Middle School in Cedar Rapids, that YouTube video. It's hot linked there for you to watch. I would show it to you, but it won't have any volume because I can't figure that out. Another one, Universal Design for Learning, specifically in physical education, that is available on YouTube, and also Inclusive Physical Education, also from Nick Peed in their materials for educators. Both of those are available there, as well as Lauren Lieberman and Allie Bryan, who are both professors of adapted physical education. put together an inclusion rating scale for physical education that is talked about in the Universal Design for Physical Education video, as well as a journal article is linked here for you, as well as a rubric. And what this does is give physical educators a way to very quickly take a look at instructional practices that are universal, that have some universal design principles and also are inclusive in terms of design. And so you can take a look at your learning setting and see really how am I doing or what might I change in my setting. So a very nice tool. Also, the equipment that I showed you, some of the equipment is available for checkout for all of the physical educators in AEA 10. So that's in our 32 school districts. But any physical educator can take a look at this list, the equipment index by unit and skill. That is every unit and skill activity that I could think of, and then the equipment that we have available. So even if you can't check it out, you could check what might be alternatives related to that particular content area. And this is our service where our media vans actually deliver to all districts in our AEA twice a week. They'll deliver and pick up. And most of all of our equipment is online. And if you have a media account, you just order it and it'll come, and you can schedule ahead of time as well. Our website has just been updated, and it is for physical educators who are teaching kids with and without disabilities. So you'll find resources for COVID-19 as well as research, as well as services that the AEA offers, things tied to systems in the state, both Every Student Succeeds ESSA, Shape America, multi-tiered systems of support, as well as particular supports for adapting things for kids with disabilities, universal design for learning, and information for parents. Those are all areas on our website, as well as links to how do you make toys from trash. Those directions are on our website, as well as links to some of our accessories, which are devices that were designed by Rockwell Collins retiree volunteers, and their plans are available to everybody. Whoops, hang on a second. Let's see if I can do this. Their plans for all of these devices are available on our website as well. And this is the glider launcher. So again, one small little action shoots an airplane and causes lots more fun with friends. So the extensions by unit and skill, these are just a few of the various extensions that we have. Turn-ons, these would be in particular good use for kids with autism spectrum disorder, activities on balance, before balls, jumping and bouncing, striking, but you could see all of those by clicking on the top units, extensions by unit and skill. So I'd be delighted to take questions, and thank you so much for your attention. And I hope some of these hacks give you a few ideas that you can use in your gym to cause kids to smile and sweat and be increasingly engaged. Thank you.